I am the danger. Hello, Carol.
He wasn't a good man who became evil. He was a dangerous man who finally ran out of reasons to pretend otherwise. Walter White is a chemistry teacher, underpaid, unrespected. A man whose students don't bother to hide that they find him irrelevant.
Say you want this!
He once contributed to research that won a Nobel Prize. He washes cars on weekends for extra money. Then he gets cancer. And something that had been locked for a very long time opens. Most people who analyze Breaking Bad focus on the transformation. The good man who becomes a monster, the loving father who becomes a killer, the victim who becomes the villain.
His name is Hank.
But that reading is too comfortable, because Walter White was never good. He was suppressed. Heidegger wrote about what happens to a person when they genuinely accept their own death. Not intellectually, not as a distant concept, but as a physical fact arriving on a specific timeline. He called it being toward death. The idea that only when a person truly faces their own ending do they begin to live without the performance of who they were supposed to be. Walter White receives a terminal diagnosis. And for the first time in his carefully managed life, he stops performing. But here's the part the show understands that most viewers miss. Walter tells himself he is doing this for his family. The money, the legacy, the final act of a dying man who wants to leave something behind. Watch what he does when he has enough money. He keeps going. He doesn't stop when the bills are covered. He doesn't stop when his family is safe. He doesn't stop when stopping would have saved everyone around him. He keeps going because the money was never the point. Being Walter White was never the point. The show gives him a second name, Heisenberg. Named after Werner Heisenberg, the physicist whose uncertainty principle established something deeply uncomfortable. That a particle cannot be fully known. That the act of observation changes what is being observed. That certainty about one quality makes another quality permanently unknowable. Walter White is a particle with two natures. The family man, the monster. And the show's argument is that you cannot know both at the same time. The more clearly Heisenberg comes into focus, the more completely Walter White disappears. Psychologists have a term for what Walter is actually doing. They call it the revenge of unlived potential. The theory is simple and devastating. The larger the gap between who a person is and who they were capable of being, the more destructive the force of that gap becomes over time. Walter White was capable of genuine greatness. He knew it. The people around him didn't see it. The world didn't reward it. And for 20 years he carried that knowledge, quietly, politely, without showing anyone how much it cost him. The cancer didn't create Heisenberg. It gave Walter White permission to stop apologizing for him. At the end, his wife asks him, "Was this all for the family?" And Walter finally tells the truth. "No, I did it for me. I liked it. I was good at it. And I was alive." This is the confession the entire show was building toward. Not the crimes, not the violence, not the empire. The admission that he finally felt like himself. And that himself was not the person anyone wanted him to be. The show ends with a poem. Ozymandias. A traveler finds a ruined statue in an empty desert. On the pedestal, the words, "My name is Ozymandias. King of kings, look on my works, ye mighty," in despair. Around it, nothing. The king's works have vanished, his empire is dust. His power, which felt absolute, could not survive the simple passage of time. Walter White becomes a king of his world and dies with no one who loves him in the gloom. His empire dust, his name meaningless to everyone who mattered. His power, which felt absolute, unable to survive even one human relationship.
Breaking Bad is not a story about drugs. It's a story about what happens to a person when they spend an entire life being less than they are, and what the world looks like when they finally stop. The question it leaves you with is not about Walter White. It's about the gap. The distance between who you are every day and who you would be if you ran out of reasons to keep pretending. What would that person do? And more importantly, how much of that person are you already?
You know, if we were drinking this in 1930,
Keeping quiet.
we'd be breaking the law.